What just unfolded in the junior golf world gave me absolute chills. Every once in a while, an event happens in this game that makes you stop whatever you are doing, rewind the tape, and ask yourself, did we just witness the beginning of something legendary? This week, the spotlight was fixed on one of the most demanding, unforgiving golf courses in the state of Florida. Under the blinding glare of cameras, suffocating pressure, relentless whispers, and impossible expectations, a young player walked onto the first tee. He was entirely overlooked by the odds makers, actively doubted by the critics, and ranked near the absolute bottom of the competitive field. Yet, by the time the final putt dropped, the entire golf world was staring at the leaderboard in total disbelief. This wasn't just a good weekend or a lucky break. This was the exact kind of performance that permanently changes a career trajectory overnight. If you care about the future of this game, the weight of legacy, and the raw grit required to prove an entire industry wrong, this story matters far more than you think. The battleground was the Team Tailor-Made Invitational, hosted at the notoriously difficult Streamsong Resort Black Course. If you follow elite junior golf, you already know that this isn't just another weekend tournament. This is a premier crown jewel on the American Junior Golf Association calendar. We are talking about 71 of the absolute best, most heavily recruited junior players in the country. This is the exact field where future PGA Tour superstars are quietly forged in the fire. Walking into that intimidating environment, ranked an abysmal 606th in the country, was Charlie Woods. Out of 71 elite players, only a handful possessed a lower national ranking. Prior to this week, he had never captured an AJGA title. He had fallen short in his attempts to qualify for the U.S. Open, and his previous USGA appearances ended in missed cuts. Naturally, the suffocating whispers echoed through the galleries. Critics quietly muttered that he was only in the spotlight because of his famous last name. Meanwhile, look at the absolute titans he was matched up against. He was facing Miles Russell, the undisputed #1 junior in America, and the youngest player to ever make a cut on the Korn Ferry Tour. He was up against Luke Colton, a powerhouse Vanderbilt commit, and Tyler Watts, one of the most dangerous, explosive scorers in the entire nation. This was not a soft field, and it certainly wasn't a lucky draw. This was a shark tank, and Charlie was entirely surrounded, and what happened next would shock everyone. When day one kicked off, the tension was palpable. Charlie signed for a 2-under par 70. On paper, that looks like a solid, respectable opening round. But when you actually look closer at the hole-by-hole breakdown, it reveals a completely different story. It was absolute, unbridled chaos. Charlie recorded only 3 pars during the entire 18 holes. 3. The rest of his scorecard was a wild roller coaster of 8 birdies, a spectacular eagle, 5 bogeys, and a devastating triple bogey. Social media instantly dubbed it a psycho scorecard, and honestly, the internet was entirely right. It was erratic, hyper-aggressive, and wildly unpredictable. He was swinging with a ferocious intensity that resulted in brilliant highs and catastrophic lows. But here's the reality of that opening round. It wasn't about playing perfect golf. It was about sheer survival. It was about learning the firm, fast undulations of Streamsong, adjusting to the extreme tournament pressure, and proving he could take a punch without folding. He stayed in the fight when most 16-year-olds would have completely collapsed under the weight of a triple bogey. But that wasn't the whole story. When the sun rose on day 2, something fundamentally shifted inside Charlie Woods. The chaotic teenager from the opening round completely vanished, replaced by a cold, calculating competitor. He stepped onto the course and delivered an absolute masterclass, firing a blistering 7-under par 65. He carded 9 flawless birdies against only 2 dropped shots on one of the most demanding layouts in the state. Suddenly, the entire narrative completely flipped. This was no longer a cute human interest story about a famous father and his son. This was a highly lethal, calculated leaderboard charge. He rocketed past the top-ranked amateurs in the world, landing in a tie for second place, sitting just a single shot behind the leader, Luke Colton. The galleries swelled, the cameras multiplied, and the pressure instantly skyrocketed to a boiling point. Heading into the final round, absolutely everything was on the line. As a fan of the game, this is exactly where you lean forward in your seat. Raw talent can get you into contention, but the ability to close out a tournament requires an entirely different level of psychological warfare. Charlie answered the bell by firing a devastating 6 under par 66, but it was how he did it that left the golf world speechless. At the absolute peak of the pressure, he went on a monstrous tear, recording birdies on 7 of 11 holes through the middle of his round. That is not just a hot streak. That is a complete, hostile takeover. That is the exact kind of relentless scoring stretch that breaks the spirit of the rest of the field. He grabbed the outright lead, and once he had his hands on the wheel, he absolutely refused to let go. Down the brutal closing stretch, he didn't panic. He didn't make reckless, aggressive swings. He executed 4 straight, perfectly composed pars to close out the tournament. He finished at a staggering 15 under par, securing a commanding 3-shot victory over a leaderboard packed with future collegiate superstars. He recorded 25 birdies and an eagle over 54 holes, finishing just 1 single shot off the all-time tournament scoring record. And remember Miles Russell, the #1 junior in the world? Charlie beat him by 6 shots. That is not just a win, that is a definitive statement to the entire golf establishment. The immediate aftermath of this victory completely shattered the national ranking system. When the official AJGA numbers were updated, Charlie vaulted from 606th in the country all the way to 14th. That is a mind-bending jump of 592 spots in a single weekend, marking one of the most historic single-tournament leaps in the history of the association. That kind of elevation cannot be manufactured by media hype. It has to be earned in the dirt. But the most revealing moment came when Charlie finally spoke to the press after hoisting the trophy. He didn't brag, and he didn't boast. He spoke with incredible honesty, admitting that this victory meant everything to him, because he knew he hadn't performed at his highest level in the past. He openly acknowledged his previous struggles in big events, stating that he knew he was better than his past scores and that bringing it all together under massive pressure was the ultimate validation. That level of self-awareness and maturity from a 16-year-old is incredibly rare, and it signals a major turning point in his mental development. And what this victory unlocks for his future is absolutely massive. By securing that 14th national ranking, Charlie has officially earned fully exempt status into all AJGA invitationals for the remainder of the season. The grueling days of stressing over qualifiers and relying on sponsor exemptions are permanently over. He is locked into the prestigious Junior Players Championship at TPC Sawgrass, the exact same stadium course where his father famously conquered the world. The storylines for that event are going to be nothing short of cinematic, but we also have to address the harsh, unseen reality of his daily life. Charlie Woods will never, ever escape the towering shadow of Tiger Woods. Every single round he plays, every swing mechanic, and every fist pump will be aggressively analyzed and compared to the greatest player of all time. It is a suffocating, almost impossible standard to live under. Yet what the public often forgets is that Charlie is doing this on his own terms. While Tiger has been sidelined, rehabilitating from severe ankle and leg surgeries, Charlie has been quietly building his own independence. He is learning how to make critical mid-round swing adjustments by himself. He is developing his own killer instinct, without his father hovering over every single range session. That autonomy is exactly what builds a champion. Will Charlie Woods ever reach the mythical heights of his father? That is a completely unfair and impossible standard to place on anyone. Tiger Woods is a singular anomaly in the history of global sports. But here is what we know as an absolute fact today. Charlie Woods is no longer just a media storyline or a novelty act. He is a legitimate, battle-tested, elite junior golfer. He proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he can walk into a loaded field, absorb the heaviest pressure imaginable, and completely dominate the best players in the country. Years from now, when we look back at the timeline of his career, we might point to this exact weekend at Streamsong Resort as the moment it all truly began. This was the weekend he stepped out of the shadow and into his own light. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Charlie can carry this massive momentum into the Junior Players Championship? How do you see his collegiate path unfolding, and can you genuinely picture him hoisting a trophy on the PGA Tour someday? Drop your boldest predictions, AD.